Welcome to the Economic Story Channel. As someone who studied economics and finance from undergraduate to master's level, I genuinely enjoyed but wasn't always truly passionate about economic topics. Economic theories and concepts like Adam Smith's invisible hand, Keynesian economics, Milton Friedman's monetary theory, the gold standard, petrodollars, and capitalism weren't too difficult for me to define or explain theoretically. As I continue my journey with economics, reading books, listening to podcasts, and keeping up with global geopolitical economics, tariff, and trade war developments, I began to wonder, am I, or perhaps some of you studying economics, confining these vast theories to the narrow, personal context of our lives, restricting them to mere definitions and words, forgetting to let these theories live and breathe within the context in which they were formed and exist? Only by doing so can we truly understand the broader picture of how economies have functioned from ancient times to today. Everyone has questions about economics, and I'm no different. Like you, I want to approach economics with the curiosity of a child, eager to understand and learn more. That's why I absorbed those dry, theoretical concepts on paper through stories, each story a lesson about the vast economy surrounding us. I share these stories with myself and those around me who care about economics and history, hoping to plant seeds of interest in economics among you. Now, let's dive into today's topic. I'll provide a brief summary of the history of economic thought, from classical economics to modern schools and theories, along with the notable theorists of each era. The history of economic thought is a long and rich journey, starting with simple observations about trade and wealth, gradually evolving into a complex and influential science. 1. Classical economics. This period is considered the foundation of modern economics. Before this, economic ideas were often tied to philosophy or politics. The rise of capitalism and the Industrial Revolution spurred the need to systematically explain economic phenomena. Classical economics is known for the following prominent figures. Adam Smith, often called the father of economics, his seminal work, The Wealth of Nations, introduced the concept of the invisible hand. Smith argued that when individuals pursue their self-interest in a free market, they inadvertently promote the common good of society. He advocated for free markets and limited government intervention. David Ricardo, he developed the theory of comparative advantage, demonstrating that nations should specialize in producing goods with lower opportunity costs and trade with others to mutual benefit, thus promoting free trade. Ricardo also explored labor value, wages, and profits. Thomas Malthus, known for his population theory, Malthus argued that populations grow exponentially while food supply grows arithmetically, leading to poverty and famine. 2. Neoclassical economics. This school built on classical economics but introduced new analytical tools, particularly the use of mathematics and the concept of marginal utility. Neoclassical economists shifted focus from production to circulation and exchange, emphasizing individual and firm behavior in maximizing utility and profit. Key figures include Alfred Marshall, a leading figure with his work Principles of Economics. Marshall synthesized supply and demand theories, introduced elasticity, and analyzed market equilibrium. Leon Walras developed the general equilibrium model, a comprehensive framework showing how all markets in an economy interact and reach equilibrium. 3. Keynesian economics. The Great Depression of 1929 to 1930s shook confidence in the market's ability to self-regulate as posited by classical and neoclassical theories. In this context, John Maynard Keynes emerged with his general theory of employment, interest, and money. Keynes argued that economies do not always automatically achieve full employment or price stability. He emphasized the role of aggregate demand in determining output and employment levels. Most importantly, Keynes advocated for government intervention through fiscal policies and monetary policies to stabilize the economy, especially during recessions. 4. Modern schools and theories. After Keynes, economics diversified and developed rapidly. Monetarism, led by Milton Friedman, This school emphasized the role of money supply in determining prices and inflation. Monetarists argued that excessive government intervention, as Keynes advocated, could cause inflation and instability. Neoclassical economics, emerging in the 1970s, this school returned to faith in market efficiency, using concepts like rational expectations to explain economic behavior. It argued that government interventions are often ineffective because economic agents anticipate and adjust to policies. New Keynesian economics, combining Keynesian ideas with neoclassical microeconomics principles, this school acknowledges market failures and price-wage stickiness, which can prevent full employment, thus supporting some level of government intervention. Behavioral economics ***, a relatively new field integrating psychology and economics to study how psychological factors influence economic decisions. Researchers like Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky showed that people often make irrational decisions, challenging the assumption of rationality in traditional economics. Development economics focuses on factors driving economic growth and improving quality of life in developing countries, addressing issues like poverty, education, healthcare, and institutions. Environmental economics examines the relationship between economics and the environment, seeking to value natural resources and develop policies for environmental protection. Information economics studies the role of information in economic decisions and how asymmetric information can lead to market failures. That's a quick summary of economic thought. Now, let's move to a short story. A short economic story from ancient times until around 1820. As you may know, before modern societies emerged, most nations operated under feudal systems, where the king held supreme authority over both politics and economics. Economies during this period were simple, primarily agricultural. From antiquity to the 1820s, people began asking, what is capital? Capital refers to the means of production: factories, sailing ships, tools, seeds, or plows. These are often called capital goods, essential for producing other goods. Additionally, capital refers to money invested to rent factories, pay workers' wages, or purchase machinery, equipment, or goods to start production. Thus, investing in capital is called investment. The goal of investment is to sell goods for more than the initial investment, generating profit. A person who lives by investing money to earn profit is called a capitalist. Capitalists don't necessarily use their own money. They can borrow from others and pay interest. So, strictly speaking, a capitalist doesn't need capital. What they need is courage and the initiative to start new projects. Capitalists have existed for centuries, but the capitalist economy only began relatively recently. Throughout most of history, people lived in agricultural economies. Unlike saving, investing requires spending money. In past agricultural economies, spending savings was risky, so people saved rather than invested. Because no one likes risk, over centuries, capitalists devised ways to make investing less risky, such as banks. With banking systems, people deposit savings into banks for interest, and banks invest that money in numerous projects, so many that it's unlikely all will fail. By the 17th century, the Dutch effectively used banks, insurance, and other capitalist innovations. They organized their economy around trade and production rather than agriculture. Dutch businesses were so efficient that they dominated European trade. Even nations at war with the Dutch had to buy their goods. This led warring nations to realize their defeat stemmed from purchasing Dutch goods, which the Dutch used to fund armies against them. They thought, how could we be so foolish? In 1665, Jean-Baptiste Colbert became France's Minister of Finance. He believed money was prosperity and aimed to stop foreign hands, especially the Dutch, from draining France's wealth. He implemented several policies. First, imposing tariff barriers to tax imports. Second, subsidizing exports. And third, enacting laws to tightly regulate French businesses' products to ensure they were competitive with foreign goods, particularly Dutch ones. This gave rise to mercantilism, where governments controlled and favored domestic merchants. As a result, Dutch dominance waned. The Dutch faced restrictions across France, and by 1672 they were so pressured that they overthrew their prime minister. As Dutch economic power weakened, England and France competed for European dominance. Wars required financing, and the English government found ways to raise funds nearly comparable to France's, despite France's population being 3 times larger. By the 18th century, French thinkers began questioning, why, with a population 3 times England's, aren't we richer? What's going on? In reality, the capitalist economy was rising. In the next section, we'll continue with more fascinating economic stories. If you found this content helpful, please share it with those who need it. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to support and help Economic Story Channel reach more people. Thank you for your support. See ya!